To begin our discussion on the program, which is on the development finance institutions in Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria had released a draft regulatory framework for the operations of DFIs, as they regarded, to look at, look into the operation of the DFIs and ensure that they are, up to the international best practices, as we're saying in other climes. And to look at these issues with me on the show is Muyiwa Onlayiwaju. He is the CEO of Watershed Capital. Thank you for coming, Muyiwa.
Thank you.
And to my far left, we have Ayodeji. He is the head of investment research, Afrinvest West Africa. Thank you for coming on the program. I'm going to start with Muyiwa. We've not heard so much about DFIs in a long while. I want to believe they've been in existence, just as we've been told by the central bank. But what is the state of DFIs?
Yeah, well, DFIs in Nigeria have been existing for a while. The only issue is that they have not been very active. And the reason being that DFIs in Nigeria have been promoted by government at different points in time to intervene in special sector of interest, which are believed to drive the growth of Nigerian economy. But you know that because of political interference, underfunding, low capacity, they have not been very active. And why some of them are trying to do their bit, but you know that at the point of establishing these DFIs, there were expectations. There are minimum requirements they were supposed to have. They were also supposed to have some capital requirements. Unfortunately, after that time that they have been established, these capital requirements were not met. So because of that, they were incapacitated to perform up to the expectation and the objective of setting them up.
Okay, I will get to the issue of capital requirements shortly, because I understand that there are two categories of development finance institutions. We have the wholesale, yes, and we have those for the retail ventures. Yes. Let me come to Ayodeji. Really, since we've seen DFIs in Nigeria, are they performing the statutory roles? Have they been performing the roles?
In the sense, since because it's a government agency, the effectiveness of even the role that has been defined has not been very effective. If you look at based on the objective which they were set up. So there are roles when you look at like Nexim, you look at the Bank of Industry, based on the issue of the undercapitalization. So which they've not been able to make much effect to the particular space for the particular reason for which they have been set up. So in the actual sense, statutory, they have not even been regulated. And with the new draft of the CBN, which is very robust, which will really enhance the regulation. And also they've not been able to get even the international financial institution support because of the way it's structured. So with this new development, there will be the international financial institutions will be able to route funds through the DFIs, which is going to really boost economic development and also the medium, small, and medium small scale industries in the economy.
Now, talking about the structure that you just mentioned, what structure was in existence in the operation of development finance institutions before now? Because this is still a draft guideline. It's not the final one yet, because I won't believe that the central bank, when it comes out with the final one, there'll be other additions, subtractions, some inputs will be in it. So how was the structure before now?
Yeah, as a government agency, once the funds are released, they are supposed to identify the particular sector for which they are supposed to lend into. However, they are supposed to build some form of capability on that particular space they are lending for to understand the cash flow. A lot of the funds, what we have is a lot of the funds that have been disbursed have gone bad, which has discouraged even the government from even allocating to them. Yes, statistically, at every year in the budget, there will be some form of allocation to that particular DFI. but because it's statutory, they have not been very effective. So most of the loans that have been given out has really gone bad, and they are not even able to restructure some of these loans. So, and it boils down to capability. They need to develop some form of understanding about the industry, understand the cash flow of the industry which you are lending to, understand the business, so that when you look at projects in phases, when you look at the kind of project that you are lending to, you look at the kind of milestone stages that you have reached before you disburse. But because it's government affair, it's some of the disbursements are also politically inclined, so that the collateral you can't, the collateral does not even cover the loan that has been given out. So there's always a problem for you trying to get back this fund. As a result, its effectiveness have not been felt in the time past.
Okay, Amuyiwa, being central bank governor, has been in office for just a few months now, and we're seeing what I usually call a recalibration of the banking sector, the financial markets in general. Now, what do you think is the basis for this guideline? Because I know there have been a number of guidelines been released, whether on the draft level or the final outcome, as the case may be. What do you think is the rationale behind this?
I think it is very important for us to know that the whole world is going the way of deregulation, because it is believed that when certain important sector of the economy are driven by private sector, the performance will be impressive. And I need to say this, that up to now, the DFI industry in Nigeria has not been performance driven. Like my colleague said, allocations are made to these DFIs because they are established by government. So provisions were made for them in the budget. So whether you perform or you don't perform, you get your allocation. However, it is necessary that this sector is driven by private organizations because one, it will attract more funding. Two, there is a need for proper monitoring, regulatory supervision of the industry. So because of this, there is a need for central bank to actually take some responsibility if the industry is going to open up to private and foreign financial institutions. So there is a need for CBN to come up with a framework that will guide the activities of Ube player in the industry. So I think at this point, it is very important, it is very crucial for Central Bank of Nigeria to come up with a watertight framework that will guide the activities of the players.
Now, let me come to Ayodeji. Have there been any form of record as to what DFIs have done in Nigeria, the sectors that they've been able to target or finance, as the case may be? Do we have base as a research?
That's one of the major problems that we also have observed in that particular space is availability of data. You cannot really quantify the amount of disbursements that has been done. You cannot really quantify the growth to monitor how it has been growing year on year over time. But with the new development, such that you have to render your accounts on an annual basis, on a quarterly basis, it will be made public before it will be made public. So it will also help people to also analyze and understand that particular space. For some of those sectors that they have targeted, when you look at Nexim, look at Bank of Industry, the federal mortgage banks, which are supposed to target, when you look at the different phases in, or the different segments in that particular, like the mortgage space, they need to know which of the particular, build a niche for themselves, or which particular space do they want to play. And by understanding that particular space, then they will be able to they will be more effective. Now,
these firms that you've mentioned are government run to some extent. Aren't they performing?
You know, based on based on appointment, and sometimes some of the leaders of, or the management does not stay for, they don't stay for long. So it's when you have some form of medium to long-term plan, you are not allowed to execute. So frequent intervention of government has really hampered the plant and effectiveness of these parastatals.